All right, I want to double check and make sure the folks in the back can hear. Very good. Okay. Is this a yes or no? Or no, I'm just kidding. Very good. All right, thank you. Please continue. Enjoy your dinner. I'm going to share some thanks and some history this evening. I think you're really going to enjoy it. We appreciate Outcult, sorry about that, and also the NJROTC students for their participation this evening. Also Lauren Schaffner, and she provided the music that we had this evening, so thanks to her. Outstanding, absolutely outstanding. And now I'd like to introduce Karen Sipes. If Karen will please come forward.
Good evening. Would you please open your programs to the opening page, ACSC Hall of Fame Welcome Friends. Take a look at the picture at the bottom left. Cynthia Staley Granger, Executive Director, Anderson Education Foundation. May I never get too busy in my own affairs, that I fail to respond to the needs of others with kindness and compassion. Thomas Jefferson's statement must be Granger's mantra. Every time I had a question, a problem to solve, a deadline to meet, she was unflappable. She never snapped at me for popping in at the last minute, which I did quite often, with the grant application. And I've popped in at the last minute, I must say, 20-some times probably over the last 20-some years, and I'm not going to that specific. Cynthia made the grant writing process user-friendly and non-threatening. Her confidence in our ability to do it made all the difference. After writing and receiving several Anderson Education Foundation grants, I felt comfortable enough to submit grants to other places, which would allow more cool things to be done in and out of the classroom. Thank you from literally thousands of students who have been inspired by the grant opportunities. Cynthia Granger has set an example that will be hard to follow. She is the voice and the face of the Anderson Education Foundation and will be greatly missed. I have something for her, and would the board please come up too, and they have another presentation for you, Cynthia. Come on over. Where are you? Well, she's a dog. She knew nothing about this. This is a secret. She came over to the table earlier and said, "Hi, Karen. I didn't know you were coming." Gotcha.
But I'm glad you're here.
Well, thanks. I'm glad I'm here too. I have something that I love very much, and I'm going to give it to you because you're that special. I got this in Stratford-upon-Avon. It's my Shakespeare duck, and it says, "To quack or not to quack." Several of my grants have been centered around Shakespeare, and I want you to have this.
Thank you so much. And I learned a little about Shakespeare in a few conversations with her, too.
And the board has something for you as well.
Thank you. We just want to say thank Cynthia for everything she's done over the past 18 years for the Education Foundation, and she's going to be greatly missed, and we're in the process of finding someone new and transitioning into the new position, so we appreciate everything she's done through the years.
Oh my gosh. Oh, this is great. I'm going to put this in my new house.
Yes, that's what it's for.
My husband and I are moving to Florida in June. We're retiring. My husband is a teacher in Anderson Community Schools, and I've been with the foundation 18 years, and we're retiring and moving to Florida in June, and I think I can get this framed and put it in my new home. So thanks to all of you. It's been a wonderful pleasure working with all of you as board members, previous board members, all of the Hall of Famers that we've inducted 3 classes, the 3rd tonight. It's just been a really good time, and seeing the teachers and the students get to do something they only thought about and didn't think they would be able to do, and thanks to our donors, they've done those wonderful things. So I just thank these great people, and I've had a great time working for the foundation. It was perfect for my life for the last 18 years and for my family. And thanks for joining us tonight and celebrating with some outstanding alumni, people who've gone to all 3 of our high schools and have done something wonderful in their lives, and they're wonderful examples for our students, and a number of them have spent some time in classrooms this week and will be doing this. So they're here for more than a banquet and more than a thank you and a little round of applause. They're here to share themselves and be mentors, leaders, examples for students today and tomorrow. So thank you all for being with us, and I think we'll move on to the next part of the evening. Thanks.
Tonight we'll be inducting 10 people, well, we just actually 11, into the ACS Hall of Fame. The Anderson Education Foundation established the Hall of Fame in 2010 with an inaugurating class of 17 individuals and continued in 2012 with 14 more. We thank our departed friend John Eddy, who guided the foundation as president of the board during the early days and the early planning stages of the Hall of Fame. The Anderson Education Foundation's board, and we'd like to thank those who volunteered to work on the Hall of Fame this year, believe that recognizing extraordinary graduates on all 3 high schools is an effective way to elevate the importance of public education throughout our entire community. We and local children can grow up and know these folks, hear their stories, and be inspired by them. We'll hear some of those stories in a few minutes and meet the Anderson High School students who have already inspired and been part of the Hall of Fame class of 2015. Another major purpose of the ACS Hall of Fame is to promote and increase the Foundation's classroom grants, which are very important. It's an important program, the major mission element for the Foundation. The wonderful support of the valedictorian, salutatorian, and the booster sponsors, and you, by your attendance, will help provide more grants for the next school year. We'd also like to introduce the sponsors and a few other key people who are working on the ACS Hall of Fame this year. Many of the 9 valedictorian sponsors have been with us from the very first year. We'd like to have those representatives of a sponsor stand when we name your business or organization, and then be seated as we move on to the next. And also, if you'd like to hold your applause until we've been able to recognize everybody. First, our valedictorian sponsors, Anderson Community Schools, providing this facility, support, and tonight's buffet, and the great brownies, by the way. I'd like to have those folks stand up. There we go. Anyone from Anderson University tonight? Stand in. There's the Anderson University table. There we go. They can stand. Community Hospital here in Anderson. Anyone from? There's Community Hospital. I recognize Holly and everybody. The Herald Bulletin. Do we have Herald Bulletin? I see Herald Bulletin. Some Herald Bulletin folks there. You're standing. There we go. Any other Herald Bulletin folks tonight? Okay. Thank you for your support. About Luce Funeral Homes and Crematory. Anyone from Luce tonight? Okay. I'd like to recognize them. Ivy Tech Community College. I'm a graduate. I'm standing. There's Ivy Tech over there. The Madison County Community Foundation. Madison County Community Foundation folks. I'd like to recognize those folks tonight. St. Vincent. I know St. Vincent's here. St. Vincent Anderson Regional Hospital. I proudly work at St. Vincent. It's a great facility. Ed Martin Automotive. Anyone from Ed Martin tonight? I'd like to recognize those folks. And our salutatorian sponsor, the Madison County Federal Credit Union. I can stand. They own my car. I own like back to the windshield, but they own the rest of the car. And of course, our Honor Society sponsor, the Anderson Federation of Teachers. I'd like to have those folks if anyone stands. So thank you very much, everyone who's sponsored tonight here. Bringing the Hall of Fame 2015 from an idea to reality took several people. We'd ask you to stand if you're a member of the Anderson Education Foundation Board of Directors, the Hall of Fame volunteers, and Volunteer Hall of Fame Director Ross Buckman. I'd like to have those folks stand if you're part of the foundation, and we'll recognize you folks this evening. Thank you so much. Ross, by the way, is fondly called the go-to guy. He's served as a foundation board member for 9 years, and he's always a willing volunteer. He's been involved in many efforts since he left the board due to term limits. He's also a retired ACS math teacher. Many of you may remember him from the school days. And if your homework is still due, you might want to catch up with him tonight. Now, if you'd indulge for 1 minute, Anderson Education Foundation Executive Director Cynthia Granger has a few more words this evening.
Some of the sponsors chose to, rather than send a lot of representatives, to make seats available because several of our Hall of Famers tonight have large groups with them, and we wanted to be sure that there were plenty of seats so they could sit together. So the Herald Bulletin, for one, offered their table to help us accommodate the large parties. So if you didn't see representatives from certain of the business sponsors, it's because they allowed us to hold those seats for all of you folks. Many of you are loved ones of Hall of Famers, so we appreciate their generosity in being sponsors and then turning their seats over to us to make sure that families could sit together. There are a few Hall of Famers from 2010 and 2012 in the audience, and they also have medallions. And the folks who will be inducted this evening are wearing a medallion also, and those were designed especially for us. A little later on, we'll be going down to the Hall of Fame wall, and I think you'll be just very pleasantly surprised by how beautiful the wall is. And in your booklets, we've listed, and on a sign, we've listed some of the vendors. I can tell you that local architects Jesse J. Wilkerson and Mike Montgomery worked on design of the Hall of Fame wall. It was built by our friends at W.R. Duncan & Son Incorporated. So we have a lot of good local folks who have gone into the original planning and designing of beautiful awards for this evening for all of you, and a lot of heartfelt interest and efforts were put into those things because they appreciate what these alumni from our schools have done to enrich other lives. I don't know, did we ask the Hall of Famers for 2010 and 2012 to stand? If you are a past Hall of Fame inductee, will you please stand? I know there are a few of you out here in the audience. We thank you for joining us tonight and for welcoming the new kids in the class and for being the fine examples of servants, community members, teachers, and quiet heroes that you all are. So thanks for joining us. I think I already told you some of the Hall of Famers are visiting schools this week, and so we're very glad to do that. We have our Hall of Fame class 2015 and their student ambassadors here, so we'll be asking them to say a few words, and then in a little while, we'll be moving down the hall for the unveiling of the wall. I want to thank Leland Franklin also for our friend Leland for being our Master of Ceremonies tonight. If Leland sounds familiar to you and he hasn't already mentioned this, he was on WHBU for a long time. He had a great show in the morning. He was always happy to welcome people from the community to talk about their activities, their events, and he helped promote wonderful, worthwhile things in our hometown of Anderson. And it was just the right thing to do to ask Leland to join us tonight. So please give him a little round of applause and thanks. And again, I just have to say thank you to Ross Buckman for being the best guy. He's helped us so long as a board member. Prior to that, he was an Anderson Community Schools Foundation Teacher of the Year. And he and some other teachers we had elementary, middle school, and high school. And he was our first high school teacher of the year. And then when he retired, we just went right to him and said, you've got to come on this board. And he did. He served very faithfully and very capably for many years until he was term limited off and has been our top volunteer since then. And he's indispensable with Hall of Fame. All 3 times we've had the Hall of Fame induction. So once more, please recognize Ross. let these Hall of Famers that you're really here to see, I'll let them get started, and I'll turn it back over to Leland. He's got the plan here, and so we'll move forward.
We're all going to miss her so much. One thing about Cynthia, she did want me to pass along that anytime you want to go to Florida, we're all welcome to stay at her house. So I thought that was very generous. Thank you, Cynthia. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, now we move forward. We asked the Hall of Fame 2015 and their AHS student ambassadors. Of course, they're already here. In just a moment, we're going to be introducing them. Students are going to move into their roles. They know the routine. They know what to do. They're going to start introducing folks, and we'll be talking to those folks. And afterwards, I'll have a few final comments, and then we'll be able to go out and see the wall of the Hall of Fame. So thank you very much. Now we'll turn it over to the student ambassadors and the folks who are going to be inducted this year for 2015.
Good evening. Can you guys hear me? Okay. My name is Deja Monet, and I am a junior here at Anderson High School, and I am a student ambassador for Tim Boyd. Tim Boyd has lived a lifetime of service, from coaching Little League baseball in the Anderson community to volunteering his custodial service at his church. His servant's heart has inspired many. Boyd graduated from Anderson High School in 1975 and has been working for the Anderson Community Schools and began working for the Anderson Community Schools in 1997. He has spent the past 38 years serving there. Boyd was the first to complete the school's apprenticeship program and the first African American supervisor of plumbing for the school. He has also offered his talents to the church he attends, maintaining the church and all of its custodial work. Tim Boyd volunteers regularly through his church, coaching youth basketball. He began coaching when his sons played Little League baseball. Boyd initiated an open gym church at church for children in the community to learn sports, and has also established baseball and bicycle clinics for children in the community. In the bicycle clinic specifically, he teaches youngsters to rebuild bikes and donates them to disadvantaged children. Additionally, Boyd is the president of the Old School Riders Motorcycle Club. This club collaborates with the Urban League of Madison County and Progressive Church to support an annual toy giveaway. Many times, one can find Boyd unloading the trucks the night before. Without a doubt, Boyd attributes his willingness to serve to his parents and their work in the Anderson community. His father, a local pastor, frequently helps in the community, and his mother has coordinated numerous clothes and toy drives. Boyd noted, "They give back, so that's why I give back." Uncle Timmy, also is known among the youth in the community, is known for helping and working with children, and he also has a heart for the elderly. Boyd is the father of 9 children and 3 foster children. He is very close to his father, mother, brother, and 3 sisters, all of whom live in Anderson and attend the same church.
Okay here. Miss Granger, she's a beautiful young lady. And she told me I was going first. I'm like, why? She said, because you've been coming down to my office. If I knew that, I wouldn't have went to her office. But anyway, it's an honor to be inducted into the ACS Hall of Fame class of 2015. It's truly an honor and a blessing. Words cannot express how I feel about this award. There's many people I need to thank who helped make this possible. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the Lord for giving me the ability and the passion to make a difference in my community. I also would like to thank my parents who stuck by my side even when I was out there doing the wrong things. They really was my mentors. Proverbs 22:6 says, "Teach children how they should live, and they will remember it all their life." My parents, they took heart in this scripture. They had 5 of us kids, and they were strict on us. At the time, we didn't understand why they were so strict. But I think I thank them very much. My dad couldn't make it today. He's got some few health problems, but my mom was here, and I want to tell her at this time I love you and thank you for the teaching, okay? And, you know, we were preacher kids. My dad's a preacher, and they called us PK kids. And they said preacher kids, the bad kids. Well, I was the worst one. My parents had to work overtime to keep me on the right path, but they did what they had to do, and they kept me on the right path, and I really thank them for that. I would like to thank everyone who had a part in making this a nomination possible for me. I want to thank my family, friends, co-workers, and thank all of you for your love and support. It really means a lot to me for you guys to come out here and support me in this moment. Last but not least, I'd like to thank the committee for selecting me for this award. And at this time, thank you and God bless you.
I'm Alexa Leah, and I'm a sophomore at Anderson High School. Beth Clark, Anderson High School class of 1971. Leader, educator, servant. Beth Roach Clark exemplifies all of these things. She has been a leader in Anderson Community Schools throughout all of her roles, specifically as principal of Kilba and Robinson Elementary Schools. Clark has been an inspirational educator in a wide variety of educational settings. She has also been a devoted servant to those she teaches and with whom she works. Clark moved from Delaware, Ohio on her 16th birthday and had always been a good student. The opportunities she found at Anderson High School allowed her to flourish. Some of Clark's teachers saw her potential and allowed her to instruct others in the swimming class and as a senior teaching Spanish to 6th graders. After graduating from Anderson High School in 1971, Clark studied at Indiana University for 2 years and finished her degree at Ball State University, specializing in special education. At Ball State, she also finished her MA in special education and coursework for the Administration Supervision License and Director of Special Education. Starting out, Clark taught at Park Manier School, a school specifically for students with severe disabilities. She worked there for 10 years. She then moved to Highland High School, working with students with moderate mental disabilities, and where she was a community-based coordinator. In this role, she was able to vocationally prepare students and taught them practical life skills. In 1998, after she gained her administration supervision certificate, Clark went on to become principal at Kellbrook Elementary School. In 2003, she became the principal at Robinson Elementary School. From there, she became the Anderson Community Schools Human Resource Manager in 2009 and Assistant Superintendent in 2011. Clark is a retiring student from ACS. Away from work, she enjoys reading, spending time outdoors in her yard and garden, and spending time with her friends and family. Beth has been married for 4 years to Alan Clark, and together they have 3 children, Mickey, Haley, and Hillary. Beth and Alan have 8 grandchildren and 4 great-grandchildren. Clark's willingness to go above and beyond in her work is driven by having a goal and having colleagues who believe in goal and who work hard to achieve it. It's all about educating children, and in Clark's opinion, it's certainly work worth doing and doing well.
Thank you, Alexa. I would first like to recognize the 4 people that nominated me for the Hall of Fame. They're my colleagues, educator colleagues. They're sitting back there very quietly doing what they do best. When I think of the individuals who made this nomination, I'm very confident and I celebrate that Anderson Community Schools has the opportunity to provide particularly early literacy skills. These people know early literacy, and that makes me feel very proud that they view me as a role model and deserving of the Hall of Fame. I'd also like to thank my friends and my family who are here in Forest tonight, my family, I guess you could say. I had a very nice surprise last night at 9:30 when my doorbell rang, and my 18-month-old grandson and my daughter arrived from Oregon by surprise, so that was very nice. I came to Anderson High School at a very tough time on my 16th birthday. Wasn't probably what you'd call the biggest Indian fan at the time, but now, After 37 years with Anderson Community Schools, my commitment has been very strengthened throughout the years that I've served this corporation. Anderson Education Foundation is a very big part of how we continue to promote public education. Sometimes I feel economically and politically we're under siege. I still view being an educator not as a profession, not what you do, but who you are. I think it's still one of the most authentically patriotic professions we can have. We take every individual who comes through our door. I believe in families having choice and making choices that are right for their children. But I also believe very firmly that public schools is the last bastion, perhaps, of democracy. So I would like to thank the foundation and again congratulate my new colleagues who've been inducted to the Hall of Fame tonight. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brooklyn Williams, and I will be introducing Tom Bannon, and he will be accepting an award on behalf of his father, Jim Bannon. Upon Jim Bannon's death, the city of Anderson ensured that he would always be remembered by honoring him with the bust of his likeness in downtown Anderson. On the plaque that accompanies the bust, it says, in part, that he believed in his family and community and inspired others to turn possibilities into realities. What the plaque doesn't say, but what was obvious to anyone who knew Jim, is that he also believed in his school. Jim was proud to be a product of the Anderson Community Schools and was an outspoken advocate on its behalf. Jim is best known for his work as the editor of the Anderson Daily Bulletin and later as an executive editor of the Herald Bulletin after the merger of the two daily newspapers. He wrote the 2 weekly columns appearing on Wednesdays and Sundays that made him the voice of Anderson. Sometimes that voice was inspiring, sometimes it was nostalgic, sometimes it was challenging, sometimes it was irreverent and humorous, and at times it was a voice of reason. At all times, however, it was a voice that was honest and heartfelt, which is what made him so popular and influential. His family, wife Carolyn, and their children Nancy, Barb, Jan, and Tom were frequent subjects of his writing. Readers also came to know his parents, R.C. and Madeline, his brother Dean, and his grandchildren Courtney and James. Another grandchild, Sam, and his great-granddaughter Natalie were born after his death. Through tales of growing up, parenting, weddings, graduation, illnesses, births, and more, the trials, tribulations, and triumphs of the Bannon clan were well chronicled. Jim once wrote in a column, "I have a wonderful family, woman by my side, and a happy, loving, supportive family. I'm a lucky man." When Jim died in 1998, his longtime friend, the late Keith Pitcher, summed up his legacy well when he said, "Jim was a catalyst for bringing the community together. He pointed out the strongest points of the community and the things that make it great."
Hi, as Brooklyn said, I'm Tom Bannon. I am representing my dad tonight and our family. And I'd like to thank Brooklyn for all that she's done for us this week. Also like to thank the foundation for including Dad and congratulate this year's honorees. I am speaking on behalf of the family. As Brooklyn mentioned, all of our names. Also, our spouses are here tonight. My wife, Jessica, my brothers-in-law, Fred and Roger. And, as was mentioned, Dad has, a likeness of him in front of the Paramount Theater, which we're very proud of. And this is actually a big week for him. 17 years after his death, we have this honor tonight. Earlier today, we were at the Herald Bulletin. They renamed one of their conference rooms in his honor, and they have a display in there, and the family was there for a reception. Thursday, we're fortunate that he's being honored in the new city park. So we're very proud of that. But, to us, that was Jim Bannon, the community leader. But to us, he was Jim Bannon Dad. And that was the best role he ever played. We hear all the time, "Gosh, your dad was a great ambassador of Anderson High School. Your dad was a great this and a great that." And I can say, my sisters can say with great honesty, he was an even better dad. And so I'm just so pleased to be here on behalf of the whole family. My mom, Carolyn, who was a great mom as well, and many times allowed Dad to be the shining star, and she kind of was willing to stay in the shadows a little bit. But at home, they both shone equally bright. So we're very fortunate, and thank you so much, all these years later, to still remember. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Matthew Yap, and I'm going to be introducing Michael Tackett. After years of telling stories of others, Mike Tackett became a compelling story himself. He was born on December 23rd, 1957 in Anderson, Indiana, to Bob and Janet Tackett. He has two older sisters who have both taught at Anderson Community School Corporation. Tackett enjoyed growing up in Anderson and has said he was blessed with wonderful parents, family, and Tackett attended ACS schools throughout all of his primary and secondary education. He has always been a very talented English student and writer, and was particularly inspired by his sixth grade English teacher, Laura Booth. Tackett graduated from Anderson High School in 1975. While he was there, he played varsity baseball and tennis. Tackett loved sports and even wanted to become a professional baseball player. He was also president of the student council, president of the French club, and editor of the school newspaper. It was through these extracurricular activities that Tackett's leadership skills and editing and writing ability began to grow. He was able to learn the necessary expertise he would have needed to oversee all the editors and reporters he has been in charge of throughout his various leadership positions. Throughout his high school education, Tackett was influenced by his honors English teacher, Harry Toon. After high school, Tackett went on to study journalism and political science at Indiana University. During his time there, Tackett was the sports editor for the university newspaper. He was committed to being an honest and unbiased journalist, which frequently led to the displeasure of the school basketball coach in 1980. Tackett graduated from IU with a BA in journalism and political science. After his education at IU, Tackett began to work for the Chicago Tribune. During this time, Tackett married a fellow journalist, Julie Kennedy. They have two children, Lee Tackett and Kate Tackett. While working full-time at the Tribune, Tackett managed to receive a lot of grief from John Marshall Law School. Tackett eventually became the Washington bureau chief for the Chicago Tribune and moved his family to Washington, D.C. While in Washington, Tackett began to appear on the C-SPAN as political analysis. After a spell as the Washington bureau chief, Tackett reluctantly left the Chicago Tribune and eventually became a managing editor of Bloomington LP. While at Bloomington, he oversaw 65 reporters and editors. Then, in 2013, the New York Times recruited him as deputy political editor. One of the most recent achievements that he has received is that he edited an investigative report which went on to win the Pulitzer Prize for investigative journalism. Tackett's innate intelligence, leadership ability, his writing capacity, and his integrity have made him an esteemed journalist he is today.
I think I need to take him with me everywhere I go. It's really great to be back at Anderson. It's great to see so many family and friends. Thanks to my family who's here, to my many friends. I thought I had to stand up a little straighter when I saw Mr. Chadbourne, the principal, when I was in high school here today, and to see Larry Rittenhouse and Ross Buckman, who were my teachers, and I thought they must have been 20 years old when I was in high school because they still look so young today. I only wish that my folks could be here, but their generation is very well represented by people like Carl Erskine and Eugene Yates and others, and so that's wonderful to see that. Thank you also to our longtime family friend and the dean here, Barb Hitz, and my good personal friend John Pistol for nominating me. I've lived in Washington, D.C. now for quite a while, but I always try to remember where I'm from. And part of that is thinking about what shapes you. And what shapes you, is your family. And what also shapes you is the school system and the teachers who touch you along the way. And for me, that was true from Miss Bayless in kindergarten at Shadeland School to Mr. Magoon at Anderson High School. They all shaped me in one way or another. And I got to speak to one of the classes today, the journalism class. It was a real kick for me to do that because the students were really engaged. They asked great questions. And I thought, I felt really good about both the school system and about the prospects for journalism if there are people like that. And I told them that, the first time I saw my byline, it was in the X-ray at Anderson High School. And I've been pretty fortunate in my career to move on from that, but I've also had some great opportunities because of Anderson. Because I was able to work at the X-ray, I I was able to get a job at the Anderson Bulletin covering high school sports on the weekends. Because I was able to do that, I was able to work on my college paper, and one opportunity sort of begat another. And, the dirty little secret is one of the kids asked a really great question. She said, why did you end up doing this? Why did you get into this business? And that was kind of a tough question for me in a lot of ways, but then I had to sort of acknowledge, well, I was really always better with words than numbers, so that was an easy choice for me to do. I also think about, what the community did for me, which was quite a bit. There are great values here. And things that stay with you. There's a columnist at the New York Times named David Brooks, and he recently wrote a column, and the headline on it was The Moral Bucket List. And I really took a lot of what he said in that column to heart, because he talked about there are kind of two virtues that you can have. There's the resume virtues, the things you put on your resume, the things that you think are the accomplishments in your life. And there are the eulogy virtues. And those are the things that people say about you, and how you touch their lives. And it's really important, I think, to think about that distinction even when you're being honored, with something like this. And we've got a great example of that here tonight in John Pistol. And just indulge me for a minute just to say that, John was always the kind of the big man on campus. He was a couple years older than I was in high school. Went on to do great things, and then, we went our separate ways. And then he rose through the ranks of the FBI in Washington, and I got to know him again then, and then when he became the administrator of the TSA. And we would talk from time to time about what he might do next, what the next chapter might be for him. And he could have gone to work at any number of places, any number of large banks, law firms, corporations, who would pay him $1 million a year or more to do that. But that's not what he did. He chose to come back to Anderson, and he chose to come back to serve as president of Anderson University. And that, to me, is both a resume virtue and a eulogy virtue, but it's all part of what you get when you're formed in a place like Anderson, and why I'm so proud to be from here. So thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jamila Hoshloff, and I'm a senior here at Anderson High School. And I will be introducing Mr. Don McAllister. I was told I can say something after I read his bio, but if I get talking too long, just start clapping and I'll give it in. Don McAllister graduated from Madison Heights High School in 1969 after attending Roosevelt Elementary and Madison Heights Junior High School. After graduation, he spent 10 years at Warner Press, where he learned journeyman cards and processed camera and pre-press layout work. In 1979, Don went to work for Delco Remy in the Engineering Records Group. He retired in 2008 from Delphi as the supervisor of that group. In 2001, he helped to found the National Veterans Historical Avenue, a 501c3 nonprofit project to record the life histories of our veterans. Since then, the NVHA has recorded hundreds of priceless stories of the veterans across 28 states who served from World War I, though the present conflicts. Primarily meant to be a gift to the veteran and his or her family, copies of these interviews have been sent across America and to overseas requesters. Several of these requests have been used for student and adult projects and presentations. The NVHA has interview clips in the Eisenhower Presidential Library and the Jimmy Stewart Boyhood Museum. One World War II pilot's interview was even sent to the International Space Station on board a shuttle mission. In 2005, Don began writing a column for the Herald Bulletin about the NVHA project. Over the years, he has received many comments from readers who appreciate the stories of our veterans and who enjoy Don's comfortable writing style. In 2008, Don took on a new career publishing the first of his 4 novels. He has enjoyed a growing following of appreciative readers across the nation. Don enjoys the folks in the work at the New Horizons United Methodist Church in Anderson. He's an avid bicycle rider and has completed 30 hilly hundreds. Don also enjoys filling volunteer grave photo requests for the Find a Grave website. Without a doubt, this ACS Hall of Famer's life is a great blend of learning and service. And from what I've known from Mr. McAllister, that is a very true statement, that last statement that I just said. He is a wonderful person, and I found it an honor to even meet him and be introducing him right now. He has a wonderful family and associates, there's a good word. And he's just a very good person, and he deserves this honor right now. So I introduce you, Mr. Don.
Well, thank you, Jamila, for a nice introduction and all the help that you've given me. I'm going to adopt that girl as soon as she gets out of college. Okay, folks, I have to admit it. I still get a little nervous when a teacher calls on me and says, "You're going to the hall." But that said, I had some great teachers at Roosevelt and Madison Heights Junior High and Madison Heights Senior High. One of those was Mr. Clyde Remo, who was one of my English teachers. I loved the way he taught. He not only taught us the tools, he let us use them through regular creative writing sessions. I pray the gods of time have expunged every pen stroke. I'm sure some of those compositions were pretty bad. But you see, that's the lesson, the main lesson I learned from Mr. Remo. You don't have to be good enough to do a certain thing. You just have to be willing to try. And good enough, that'll come along in its own time. When it came time to form the National Veterans Historical Archive, I didn't know where to start. I certainly wasn't good enough. I just knew that my World War I and II friends were dying at alarming rates, and somebody had to record these stories. It took a long time to figure out that I'm somebody. But when I did, I got my friends Jack and Steve and Herschel over here together, and we took that first step. And by golly, we did become good enough. As a result, we can now show you years of priceless treasures, many of which are otherwise now beyond all mortal reach. When I left Mr. Remo's class, I made a pledge. It took me 40 years to keep that promise. But in 2008, I published my first novel, Angel in the Ivory Tower. I'd like to read a few of the important lines from that book. In 1968, I was in my junior year of high school. My English teacher was Mr. Clyde Remo. I loved the colorful way he taught and how he led us to express ourselves through creative writing. I swore then that if I ever wrote a book, I would dedicate it to him. This is for you, Mr. Remo. I'll finish with this. A few days ago in the Anderson Community School Systems, a miracle took place. I don't know which school. I can't even tell you if the student was male or female. I do know this. That student is awkward, invisible. This is no student athlete, and certainly no scholar. Hey, this is the kind of kid who, when they get a C- on their report card, they go, "Yes, thank God!" But something happened to that student. Somewhere along the line, a teacher got through and planted a seed of inspiration. Maybe it was something in the lesson plan, or maybe it was just a word of encouragement at the right time, or maybe it was just something about the character of that teacher that spoke to them. Marguerite Hughes Hale, Sue Finger, Margaret Furness, Ruby Jones, Lori Wan, and Marie Priestov, my sister Misty over here. These are names that I've heard praised by now successful adults. Well, I don't know. It may take decades for that seed to blossom and to bless like me. But I promise you, at some moment, that student will be here, as we are tonight. And when they get their name on that wall, they'll be able to look at all of those names, and they'll pick out the ones who inspired them, just as you and I can now. And at some moment, as they focus on those names, a single thought will come to mind. Who is Don McAllister? Thank you for this most appreciated and most unexpected honor. Thank you. I gotta say it, walk tall, be proud, and Mrs. Furness, voila.
We truly have some awesome inductees tonight. It's really entertaining and encouraging to listen to them all. Anyways, my name's Hamilton Smith, and I'm a senior here at Anderson High School, and I have the pleasure of introducing Ron David this evening. You know, when this whole thing started, I was really hoping, wow, I hope I'm not the first guy to go, because I don't want to be the one to make the mistakes. Well, now I get to learn from everybody else's. Anyways, so with Ron David, he was born and raised here in Anderson. His wife is Ruth Ann David. He has one son, John, and one daughter, Rhonda. He graduated from Anderson High School. He is an Indian. He's a true Indian. After high school, he went to the military. He was deployed to Korea, and then he returned to Anderson, Indiana, and went to work at Delco Remake. After that, he went to go work at Decker Sporting Goods. When he was telling me this, I was like, what the heck is Decker Sporting Goods? And then he said Bob's Pro Shop as well. And I guess those were local businesses that thrived at the time. And then, you know, he went to go work for Anderson Community Schools. And, you know, finally he did retire. But that's truly, this is the peak of Ron David's career, okay? Like I said, he graduated from AHS, but before he was deployed, he became interested in coaching. And his first job was coaching at 7th Street Elementary. He's had various coaching opportunities. He has been coaching for 54 years. That's a grand total of 54 years. He's coached plenty of athletes, and actually, there are two athletes that are three Indiana All-Stars. And in 1985, he started as head scorekeeper here for the Indians. So when we ever come to an Indians basketball game, we see Ron sitting at the scorekeeper's table. Okay, and that's really how I got to know Ron. You know, I was the Indian this year, and I had the pleasure of doing it last year as well. And I didn't know who Ron was. I didn't go introduce myself. I just thought he was a referee. He wears this striped shirt. But he came up to me, and he said, "Hey, you the Indian?" And I said, "Yes, my name's Hamilton." And he said, "Well, I like that, because I have a lot of pride here at Anderson High School." And I said, "Well, awesome." So that really just displays how much pride he truly has for Anderson High School. He's dedicated so much of his time to Anderson High School. Not to mention how many years that he's just given, how many hours he's given to all the basketball games that he has to be the head scorekeeper. And, you know, meeting Ron has really been an eye-opening time for me, because, you know, he may not be the richest man in the world, but he is rich in knowledge and pride. And I think that's really what we all need to keep in mind, especially us young folks like me. It's not necessarily always about money. It's about the pride, where you've come from. Somebody else mentioned that earlier. And Ron really exemplifies that. He loves Anderson High School. Without further ado, Ron David.
I think I brought notes, but it's because I can't remember names. This is a great honor. And look what they give me. This has got to be the biggest medal I've ever had in my life. I stand before you because of teachers. I can read, I can write, I can speak only because of teachers. And I'm here for one thing, and that's to thank people. I want to thank Anderson Community Schools. I want to thank the Anderson Educational Foundation. I want to thank all the people that thought enough of me to put me with some great people on that wall. And you can't come out here in the winter on a Friday night and a Saturday night without seeing that wall. And I always looked at it and I thought, boy, I'm either going to have to be famous, wealthy, maybe a brown nose. But I do want to thank all the people that are responsible for putting my name up there. This is a great honor. And just think, after I'm dead 30 years, my name's still going to be up there. And like Don McAllister, they won't know who it is. But maybe my kids will remember me. I want to thank some people. I want to thank our superintendent, Terry Thompson. Terry and I talked about the schools we went to. Now, Terry graduated 40 years after I did. He talked about graduating and the pride he took in being a Jefferson Lafayette Bronco. And he taught me it's not a sin to be proud of the school that you graduate from. And I want to thank you for that, Terry. And by golly, for an outsider to come in here and start wearing a red and green necktie, that's pretty good. I also want to thank, and I have a hard time remembering names, I want to thank Johnny Wilson, who's not here, that taught me to take pride in being an Indian. I want to thank Carl Erskine for making me proud to be a Dodger fan. I want to thank Gene Yates for teaching me, and everyone teaches me something. He has taught me that even at his age, you can still have a sense of humor. And I thank you for that, Gene. I want to thank, and it was a tough act to follow up here, Don McAllister, because of Don and his father, he taught me how to dress when you're speaking before a group, how to speak, and the correct pronunciation of words, which 2 out of 3 wasn't bad. But Don is probably the best speaker I ever met while I was in Toastmasters. And he still does a great job. However, Don, this is not the place to promote your book. Tim Boyd. Tim Boyd has been a great friend. He has been an official at a lot of my games, and you know what he taught me? He taught me the meaning of this signal. Now he's coaching, and he has the same problem I have with officials. Mike Tackett. This is the first time I've seen him since that little raggedy kid in a Little League uniform about this big. And I told his dad, I said, is he only playing because you're the coach? But then I found out different. And I want to tell you, Mike, where are you? You had a great dad. What a great dad. I have to relate one story. We're playing Forest Hills. And during the game, when you're winning, you know, and you're way ahead, I just got up off the bench and I walked up in the bleachers and sat with your dad. And your dad is saying, can you ease up a little bit? And I said, look, the farther ahead we get, the better chance that your grandson is going to get to play basketball. Ellen Ward. Oh, this is great. We graduated the same year in 49. It does some good things for us. Ellen taught my son. That's a tough job. And she taught my daughter. And she made me realize why I never wanted to become a school teacher. It is not a 9-to-5 job. I've been in the school, and Ellen was there till 5 or 6 o'clock, as a lot of teachers I know. And I thought, man, not getting paid for this. What dedication. So I'm really proud of Ellen. And I kind of like your husband too, Bob, even though he shut the car door on your leg. There's just so many people out there. Roger, shoot back there. Roger, I've understood you've done a lot for the foundation. I really appreciate it. And I've known Roger for years, and he's a great fellow. Now, you know what? Before I get ready to leave, I better introduce my trophy wife. The second best honor I've ever had of marrying her, Ruth Ann David, and I had to go to Ellick to find it. Not that there's anything wrong with the girls in Anderson, but I made the same mistake my father made. My mother was from Ellick. I want to introduce my son, John David, who his grades looked a lot like mine, and as Don says, hallelujah when you get a C. You know, he come home, the grades were bad. But the teachers planted that famous seed that Don spoke of. When he graduated, I wasn't sure if I was going to support him the rest of my life. But when the day come that he made more money than I will ever see in a lifetime, I was proud. I was proud of him when he was poor. Proud of him when he was rich. I'm just proud of him because he had to take after his dad. I want to introduce my son-in-law, John Burroughs. John Burroughs is a teacher. He married my daughter. You know, how lucky can one guy get? He married my daughter. He's a teacher at Tech. The hand behind me that did a lot to put me here today. Good, great friend. I met his parents, great parents. I can see how he was so successful. He's a retired teacher. He works with law enforcement. He's right there if I need an attorney. And that's Larry Rittenhouse. And the boy next to him, his name is Morgan. His mother's a teacher. I'm not a teacher. My wife's not a teacher. My wife's mother was a teacher. My son is dating a woman that's a teacher. My son-in-law is a teacher. You just never get away from it. But I am so proud of my many friends. John Pistol's not a friend, and as I told him, if he'd hit a few more baskets, Anderson would have been a state champion. But I'm not holding it against you, John. I just see so many of my friends out here, and I know none of you has played basketball for me, or has played baseball for me, or softball, or anything else. I'm finally in a room where my wife can say, well, nobody comes out and speaks to you. And those that do come up, they got a beard, they got a mustache, they're 6'2". I have never coached a child or a student that was 6'2", not in the grade school. I want to thank all of you. This is probably the greatest honor I've ever received, and the people that I'm surrounded with, it's great. You know, like they say, you're proud to be an American. I'm proud to be from Anderson, and I'm proud to be an Indian. And what more can I say? I want to thank all of my teachers that are all passed away, but I made them earn their money. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Quentin Bell, and I am a junior here at Anderson High School. And tonight I'm going to be introducing Chad Gooding, Highland High School class of '93. Professionally, Chad Gooding spends his time building structures, but personally, he spends time building a life well lived. I have had incredible highs and lows, states Gooding. It's made me who I am, and I would not change it. Being inspired to never settle and prioritize family has made Gooding an ideal candidate for the ACS Hall of Fame. Born in Anderson, Indiana in 1975 to a father employed by General Motors and a mother employed as a food services director for Anderson Community Schools, Gooding went on to attend College Corner Elementary, Eastside Middle School, and Highland High School. He drew inspiration from his mother and his grandmother, Pat Dillon, after his parents' divorce when he was 12. I'm really grateful that I was raised with a work ethic, Gooding declares. His work ethic developed as a McDonald's employee in high school and continues in his position as Vice President of Dean, a mechanical and electrical company in Indianapolis. His professional accomplishments included overseeing the renovation of the Ross Ad Stadium at Purdue University and major construction projects in Las Vegas, New Jersey, and Indiana. A graduate of Purdue University with a degree in building construction management, Gooding credits his success to a simple recipe, one that he's willing to share with the current generation. Be the most dependable person in your personal and professional life. Answer your phone, return every call, no matter who it is. As simple as this sounds, it is a practice that Gooding insists allows others to see you as a person that can be trusted and counted on. He is dedicated to his wife, Teresa Gooding, and daughter, Claire Gooding, age 6. Family is his first priority, followed by his conscience to be a good worker. It is a combination of dedication to family, his profession, and a desire to grow as a human being that make Anderson Community Schools proud to claim Chad Gooding as an exemplary graduate. And ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Chad Gooding.
Good evening. It would only be my luck to follow a professional speaker and 2 stand-up comedians to speak at the, it's horrible I have to follow these people. So they did a great job. But I want to take a moment and wish my mother a happy birthday, Leanna Muckenhern, who half you guys seem to know. She was a director of food service, so she gets a little attention. She nominated me for this, so that's why I'm here. So, as I was coming up to kind of think through, I was here just like 20 years ago, so it wasn't that long ago. So thinking about what made me and what shaped me here. It kind of reminded me of the story when I first met my wife. She's from Nebraska, and we were first getting to know each other. And she's like, "Oh, where are you from?" She's like, "Oh, it's a little town in Nebraska." And I'm like, "Yeah, me too. I'm from a little town in in Indiana." Kind of telling stories, and she's like, "How many people are in your town?" Like 60,000. She's like, "Oh." She was like 4,000. But what it reminds me of is the community that I felt of growing up in this community. It is a large town. We had 3 high schools. We had 300 people in my class. She had 80 people in one high school in her class. They know everybody there. I know a lot of faces. I just see in this room people come with my mom. My grandmother was Pat Dillon. Some of you guys may know she was a politician for a long time and did everything in the community. It was really nice to grow up here. Really shaped, really gave me a good work ethic, gave me a conscience to help and to be a good worker, I think. One of the main things that I thought was helpful for me is when it came to school was my mom working inside the school system. She always had a ninja troop of lunch ladies that were always around me that never could let me get too far out of whack. So they were always reporting back to her. So that was kind of a detriment to my social life. But another thing was, and I think back that we had a lot of kids at school that had to be controlled, but the teachers always really cared about keeping you on a good path. They hear stuff, and fortunately mine to get reported back to my mother, like Mrs. Lau, and we were going to take a surprise trip to spring break. Just me and my buddy were going to drive there, and thought we had it all hatched, and my mom intercepted us out the driveway, finding out we actually weren't going. We said we were going to go to spring break, but it was like a whole intelligence mission that was kind of put it out of there. So I don't know. I'm really proud of this. I'm really drawn to this place and try to help. I live in Fishers. I don't live in Anderson. We have a horse farm. We bought a bunch of property, and we rent stalls to horses and race Hoosier Park. So we have a big investment. My wife and I in the community. I'm up here all the time. So I'm really happy. As one of the main things out of this is to be able to participate in the vocational programs for the schools. So that's the schools I've chosen. I'm not gone and toured it yet, and I understand there's some transition happening with the Ivy Tech building and Ivy Tech moving out. I really want to make an effort to assist in that program and bring trades people, make it a proud thing to come out of schools and be a tradesperson and earn, earn a living that way and help that train that next generation of people. We have 1,100 workers across the country. We could hire 100 a week. We can't find them. They aren't skilled. They don't work. They aren't trained. So I really appreciate this personally, but also allowing the access to that school to hopefully, I got some good ideas, I think, about how to make it better. And I want to really spend a lot of effort, this week and next week and a lot of weeks after that to help that. So if anything came out of that, that's what I want to come out of it. So, hopefully there's a big expansion on my biography. I'm right in the middle of my career, so I got a lot of things I still want to do. But I'm real proud of being from here, and I really do appreciate the honor. And it's very important. So thank you very much.
Hello. Is that loud enough? Hello, my name is Nick Gilmore, and I'm a junior here at Anderson High School. I'm introducing Dr. Rebecca Baker. Dr. Rebecca Baker graduated from Highland High School in 1983, where she was involved in band, National Honor Society, yearbook staff, Mayor City Youth Commission, and the majorettes. She attended Anderson University for her bachelor's, Butler University for her master's, and Ball State University for her PhD. Emerging from a family of educators, Rebecca Baker also sought to pursue a career in education. Her mother and three of her aunts were teachers and school administrators. Her maternal grandmother was a teacher and, as Baker recounts, a wonderful storyteller. Baker learned the skill and well appreciates the art of storytelling. She often uses storytelling in her classroom. Another important influence on Baker's education track was her third grade teacher, Miss Campbell. The two kept in touch after Baker graduated from college. She invited Miss Campbell into her classroom of first graders to teach poetry to Baker students. This was a wonderful time for me, Baker said. They were able to meet one of my teachers and learn from her. Dr. Baker taught elementary school and was a principal in both Fort Wayne Community Schools and Anderson Community Schools for 19 years. Baker joined Anderson University in 2006 and is an associate professor of education. She teaches multicultural education for secondary and elementary education students and STEM methods courses for elementary education majors. Storytelling is not only something that Baker utilizes in her classroom, but it has become a personal hobby. She also enjoys reading, painting, dancing, and researching her genealogy. Baker's parents are Reverend Mary Baker and the late Reverend Theodore Baker Sr. Her siblings are Theodore Baker, wife Janet, Stephen Carl, Mary, and Leah, husband Jason. She has one niece, Kayla, and three nephews, Stephen, Rayan, and Aiden.
Thank you, Nick, for that introduction and for graciously serving as my Hall of Fame student ambassador. It is a privilege to stand here this evening as a member of the Anderson Education Foundation Anderson Community School Hall of Fame class of 2015. I am humbled and honored by the nomination and opportunity to be part of ACS history. I would like to thank the members of the Anderson Education Foundation Board of Directors, Executive Director Cynthia Granger, the Hall of Fame Committee, and all persons responsible for making this evening possible. This is indeed a memorable occasion, one I will not forget. I am especially grateful to persons who nominated me for this honor. Words cannot express the feelings I experienced knowing that someone wanted to honor me in such an incredible way. When I started kindergarten at Park Place Elementary School, I'm sure that my teacher, Miss Sherry, asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up. My response was not to become a teacher, principal, or college professor. But here I am today, having served in these roles. I can attribute where I am today to the love and support of family, encouraging friends and mentors,
my colleagues, and the power of education and outstanding educators. Many of the educators that I had are in this room this evening. Throughout my life, doors have been opened and opportunities afforded to me that have taken me places I never could have imagined. In short, dreams have become realities because of the knowledge I have gained in the classrooms over the years. Growing up, education was always valued and made a priority in my home. The quest for knowledge was modeled for me by my parents early on. Our family came to Anderson so that my father could prepare for the ministry at Anderson College. The time spent at Park Place Elementary, Eastside Middle School, and Highland High School gave me the critical building blocks of knowledge that helped me move forward in life. These formative years provided a foundation for completing my bachelor's, my master's, and eventually my doctorate. Working for ACS as a teacher and principal provided opportunities for me to give back to the community and the students in my school. I felt that God had called me to do what so many had done for me, to care, to encourage, to inspire, and educate. Today I have the opportunity to visit Anderson Elementary School as an inductee of the Hall of Fame. It was an honor to walk the halls of a building that holds a special place in my heart. This was the first of 2 buildings I had the privilege of opening as principal. During my visit, I was reminded of the students I encountered in the hallways of this and other buildings, and what an honor it was to see them in the community. I love it when they ask, "Miss Baker, do you remember me?" I'm always humbled by their recollections of school and my small role in their educational journey. I'm also relieved when I can correctly recall their names. These moments serve as inspiration for continuing to do what I do in education. I am so pleased to have members of my family here with me this evening. My brother, my sisters, my brother-in-law, my niece, my nephews, and my mother. Thank you for always loving me and supporting me in everything I do, and helping me to celebrate special times like this. I know that Pops Baker would have been pleased to be here with us this evening to celebrate education and the power it holds. To my niece and my nephews, and every young person who enters a classroom, remember the words of Nelson Mandela: education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Open your minds to knowledge, take what you learn, and make a difference in the world. Once again, I'm truly humbled to be here this evening and to join the ranks of so many individuals as part of the ACS Hall of Fame. Past and present honorees have taken what they've received in Anderson School and made a difference in the world. I salute those who've already taken a place on the wall and those who will join me in taking a place tonight. Congratulations to my fellow class of 2015 inductees and your families. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lauren Schafter. I'm a junior, and I have the honor of introducing Greg Bell, Madison Heights High School class of 1980. Not only has Greg Bell dared to achieve greatly, he has inspired others to do the same. His musical ability, cultivated at Madison Heights High School, blossomed into an outstanding career as a music producer, a music teacher, and Emmy winner. Bell was born in Anderson, Indiana on June 24, 1962, and grew up with 7 siblings. Bell's parents were a huge inspiration to him. They accommodated him with any opportunity he sought, but they also expected him to fulfill his commitments to each opportunity. In 1976, Bell started at Madison Heights, where his innate musical ability was combined with the technicalities of creating music. Bell's band director directed him down the path of achievement. Bell has said that Mr. Patton instilled in me the drive of passion to have a goal, to be dedicated, to be part of a team, to work hard, and to be proud of your accomplishments. During this time at Madison Heights, Bell participated in almost every musical opportunity available. He was drum major of the Marching Pirates in 1978 to 1980. During his senior year, he was a member of the school show choir, and he performed the lead in the school musical. Belle loved being a part of the marching band and was inspired by the band's ability to work together as a team of 200 plus students to achieve a beautiful outcome. In 1985, Belle graduated from Ball State University with a bachelor's degree in music education. He began teaching music at Delta High School and was eventually employed as a band director at Carmel High School. Belle says he loved teaching and found it difficult to leave when other opportunities arose. His musical and teaching abilities likely inspired his students to achieve, just like his high school band director inspired him. While Belle was teaching at Carmel, he had an opportunity to work for a production company for a year. This opened major doors for him professionally. Belle was eventually recruited as a producer for Disney. While he was there, he had amazing opportunities to produce for world-famous musicians such as Stevie Wonder, Celine Dion, Andrea Bocelli, Patti LaBelle, Josh Groban, and Mariah Carey. He was awarded for skill as a producer when the Disney Parks Christmas Parade special won an Emmy. Belle is very thankful to be able to work for Disney, where dreaming and forward thinking is built into the fabric of the organization and where I am challenged to do better every day. Belle's outstanding life is not without obstacles. He is a survivor of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, a form of cancer. Amazingly, he was able to look at this obstacle as a learning experience, developing an appreciation for medical professionals and learning life lessons about grace and dignity. Today, Mr. Bell talked to our success classes, band and choir, and I had the honor of introducing him there as well. Not only was it amazing to hear someone speak who has excelled in a field that I'm interested in myself, but I also received multiple texts after school saying that they wanted me to thank him on their behalf because his speech had inspired them. So on behalf of those people, myself, and all of the lives that Mr. Bell has touched through his teaching and his career, I would like to thank you on their behalf.
Well, first of all, I just want to point out that Carl Erskine is here tonight. And isn't that great? I'm Carl Erskine. And Carl, I have to tell you something that I just learned tonight from my mother. My mother confesses to me in a school, hallowed ground for a school teacher, that on your big game day, when it was the big moment of your life, she skipped school to stay home and watch you. I would have never have been allowed to do that by my mother. Yeah, she did. She was a great student. Well, first of all, thank you. I am truly thrilled to stand here this evening, and it's really fun to talk to you tonight. And first, let me say, there's no place like home. I would like to thank the Anderson Education Foundation for this recognition and their support of students, and to Jean Witzel Sherman, who nominated me for this accolade. I am humbled by your thoughtfulness. Jean and her entire family have been lifelong supporters of Anderson, Indiana, and they realize the role an individual plays in community and how one person can make a difference. Jean, once again tonight, you've made a difference in my life. Next, I would like to take a minute and share this recognition with my family. And when a Bell family member says my family, one needs to understand that this far exceeds parents, brothers, and sisters, because you see, growing up in the Bell family meant that every Sunday evening you visited the grandparents, Beaumont and Evelyn Bell, at their house on Anderson and Delaware Street. It wasn't until I was in junior high that I realized that the weekly gathering of my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, all of those in attendance, and the activities that we did, such as flashlight tag, catching lightning bugs, watching Disney's Wonderful World of Color, and celebrating birthdays and family occasions, those are things that other families refer to as their 5, their 10, their 15, their 20-year reunion. And how fortunate were we to do that every Sunday night. I also remember report card time at our grandparents' home. My grandfather would sit in his phone chair because it was the chair beside the phone. And all the grandchildren would stand in line, and we would have to present our report cards to my grandfather. And no matter what your grades were, my grandfather found a way to encourage you for any with the marks that were on your card. Because you see, education has always been important to my family. To my older brothers and sister, I want to thank them for paving the way and romanticizing what was waiting ahead for me. They would come home from school and share things they had learned that day, such as phrases from their foreign language class or who their favorite teacher was. And I could not wait to do what they were doing. It sounded so provocative. Their school escapade sparked and ignited a desire in me to want to have my own school adventures, just like them. In fact, the public school experience made such a strong impression on our family that out of the 8 children my parents have, 3 of us became public school teachers. To this day, when I'm asked about my professional career, I always begin with sharing that I was a public school teacher for 10 years, and that job was the most rewarding and the most demanding responsibility I ever had. Speaking of responsibility, my sister Jewel, who's retiring this spring from teaching in Pendleton Heights High School, is the consummate educator. Wow. I wish she could be here with me tonight, but she is so dedicated that she had already committed to do a school field trip to Orlando, Florida, where I live, while I'm here tonight. Her husband and my brother-in-law, P.T. Morgan, is here tonight, and it's no wonder that they met and got married, as they share many common threads, including the role of schools in a community. Many of you know P.T. as he retired from teaching and coaching in Anderson Community Schools a short time ago. However, P.T. is a dedicated Andersonian and Madison Heights grad. After retirement, P.T. was elected to serve on the Anderson School Board, both as a member and as a board president. Being in public service is a calling, and my family has always gravitated towards those kindred spirits. In that same vein, my brother John, who is a law enforcement officer for the Anderson Police Department, is now seeking election for the Anderson City Council because he too feels a responsibility to give back and help the community. I just want to thank John for being here tonight, and good luck with that campaign, and the city will be fortunate to have you. My brothers Mike and Steve and their families drove quite a way to be here tonight, and I'm so appreciative of them for doing so. Several aunts and uncles and cousins and nieces and nephews are also here, and it seems like old times. I mention all of this because it was a combination of the family values in which I was raised and the educational structure provided by the Anderson Community Schools that gave me the foundation and the drive to pursue my dreams. And it wasn't just the schools that I attended and the teachers that I had that formed that passion in me. All of the schools in Anderson fostered camaraderie and spirit, and at times the whole city would join in behind them. There is nothing like basketball sectional week in Anderson, Indiana when I was growing up. Also, there was nothing like the State Fair Band Day competition where 3 Anderson High School powerhouse bands were represented and always among the favors. That sense of community fostered by the school system in Anderson always made me feel like I was a part of something special, and it was the teachers who set that tone day in and day out. You see, Anderson school teachers do not teach math or science or history or music. They teach students. Along with classroom subject matter, we have the opportunity to learn teamwork, pride, excellence, prioritization, collaboration, and many, many more values. Those things, along with a sense of belonging, helped young kids turn into responsible adults. I always felt like my teachers wanted me to soar. They encouraged me to dream and to think, what if? One of the great lessons I learned from being educated in the Anderson Community Schools is that in life, it's not about being in the right place at the right time. It is about being prepared. So when opportunity presents itself, having the courage to take the chance and pursue a dream. Speaking of dreams, I mentioned watching Disney's World of Color on Sunday evenings at my grandparents' house. This show obviously had a great impact on me, and while the featured movies were great, it was the interstitials from Walt Disney himself about making movies or working with the animators or building theme parks that sparked my imagination. At a young age, I had the desire of having a career in the manner in which Walt Disney would speak on Sunday nights, and now you could say, I'm literally living the dream. I've been with the Disney Company for over 18 years, and have been able to make a difference in the lives of many of the guests that come and visit our product. As the leader of talent relations for Disneyland, Walt Disney World, Disney Cruise Line, Disney Vacation Club, Adventures by Disney, and Alani, our property in Hawaii, in case you want to book a reservation, I am charged with developing relationships and partnering with celebrities who visit or work with us. If you've ever seen a magazine that has a picture of a celebrity with Mickey Mouse in front of the castle, or another Disney character, or if you've watched the Christmas Day television special on Christmas morning, you've been able to see some of my work, and I have a great job, and I'm so happy to be able to have that. As you can see, I almost feel odd about calling it a job. A friend of mine said, find a job you enjoy doing and you'll never work a day of your life. Well, this job requires and gives me the opportunity to meet new people all the time, and I give a lot of that credit of my success to the nurturing and encouragement I had as a youth in Anderson. You see, as a child, I was allowed and encouraged to dream. You know, every Sunday night during the World of Color, Walt Disney would give unprecedented permission for people to dream. And to dream is powerful. A dream can be your best friend. When life seems to shun you, a dream can move you through it. A dream is personal and gives you a sense of ownership. It's yours, and you can do with it whatever you want. A dream can take you to places your own body can't, and you can even go there when you have no means of transportation. I've traveled a lot of places in my dreams and did not need to ask permission. A dream also provided direction, and it will keep us on track. It can be both inspirational and aspirational. A dream supports the human soul, and it imagines itself beyond circumstances, and thereby it lives in the land of possibility. It doesn't cost a penny. It doesn't ask a pocketbook for permission. In fact, it's possibility beyond prosperity. A dream can become the thing that will keep you walking in faith or in fear. A dream can pull you out of habits and sin and stuff that would have totally devoured you. Rich or poor, accepted or rejected, a dream is always there waiting for you. I would like to encourage all of you to dream, because to do so is to continue to live. My hope is that you will stretch yourself a little further as frequently as possible, challenge your beliefs, explore new ideas, avoid entitlement, and seek empowerment. Dream more, learn more, do more, and become more. Walt Disney once said, you can design, create, and build the most wonderful place in the world, but it takes people to make the dream a reality. As I reflect back, it is the teachers, faculty, and staff in the schools I attended who made my childhood the wonderful reality that it was. From kindergarten at Washington Elementary School through junior high at Southside to Madison Heights High School, I would like to personally thank my teachers. Ms. Jones, Ms. Shrinker, Mrs. Argerwright, Mrs. White, Mrs. Etchison, Mr. Bailey, Mr. Cox, Mr. Wells, Mr. Casey, Mr. Adams, Mr. Durr, Mr. Beeching, Mr. Burke, Mr. Hounside, Mr. Pyle, Mr. Park, Mr. Hostet, Mr. Chadbourne, Mrs. Akers, Mr. Hathaway, Mr. Osborne, Mr. Reginald, Mr. McCord, Mr. Cole, Mrs. Marsh /Northcutt, Ms. Rayford, Ms. Smith, Mrs. Hamilton, Mrs. Buck, Mr. Stickler, Mr. Ray, Mr. Blunt, Mrs. Simmons /DeMulti, Mrs. Barkas, Mr. Crouch, Mrs. Dickerson, Mr. Rogers, Mr. Kisser, Mr. Milliken, and Mr. Patton. I owe you all so much. Thank you once again for this recognition as an Anderson Community Schools Hall of Fame inductee. I am humbled